37th parallel on America's haunted highway. It's Pixelated Paranormal, your guide to the unusual and the strange.
Well, hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pixelated Paranormal. Are we going to call this the return or returns or resurrected? Like, what's the cool little, colon
What did
we're going to add to this?
What
bad
did
boy?
the Night of the Living Dead do? Because they had like Night of the Living Dead, Return of Night of the Living Dead, Return of the Night of the Living Dead,
No,
Night
there
of the
was
Living
Night
Dead
of the
Returns.
Living Dead. There was Night, Day, and Dawn, and then Dan O'Bannon went ahead and did Return of the Living Dead.
Well, I mean,
But Return of Pixelated Paranormal sounds kind of weird, but we could be Pixelated Paranormal Returns.
There you go.
Okay.
Pixelated
Returns?
Paranormal, the new dawn, new day. Same old
Dawn
bullshit.
of Pixelated Paranormal.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, we are back this time. Like, we're actually back, and I think we're going to do this weekly again. The big plan right now is to live stream every Wednesday night around 9:30.
Yep.
We're 20 minutes late because we had to blow the dust off and work the kinks out. And then I imagine I'll probably be able to get these things posted. Man, probably Fridays, I think, is when new episodes are going to go up. How the Pixelated Sausage gets made is we're going to be hosting the show now through the audio portion through Spotify. Shouldn't be that hard to upload, so it's kind of a matter of how soon they want to post it once I start putting new episodes up. But any hoozle, I am Shawn. I'm so excited to be back, and with me as always is Preston. Preston, buddy, how are you?
What's up, all you cool ghosts and goblins, you crocodines and crocodingos, you Skeletor, skelets, witchers, and witches, and whatever the fuck else you want to be? I'm all right. I got a lot going on. I'm doing pinup art of He-Man and Masters of the Universe. I just threw in a fresh batch of Guinness brandy Chipotle beef jerky that's upstairs in the dehydrator as we speak. And
yeah, fuck Guy Fieri, man. You are literally the fucking mayor of Flavortown.
Yeah, fuck that guy. I'm like Emerald Lagasse times 10. Bam!
Damn, yeah.
Pretty excited for tonight's episode because you had asked me, had I had answers, and I lied and said yes, I did, and then I immediately went and looked at the doc and scanned it real quick. I was like, oh shit, dude, I could fucking do this episode in my sleep. I could, I don't even have to be fully awake to do this episode. So now that I have the questions in front of me, super fucking excited.
You feel better?
I do, and the one that you put on there, number one, I'm most excited for. Because I have a really long drawn out explanation for that. I actually got into this conversation with somebody at work the other day, so I'm just like, fuck you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, let's kick it off, shall we? We're back again. And this is our triumphant return of Preston and myself in Pixelated Paranormal. And we've covered a lot of stuff over the 10 years that we've been doing the show. And so we're going to kind of chat about a few of the main topics, see where we stand after all these years. So you guys, the drill. Get comfy, get cozy.
Yeah.
And let's see where the episode takes us. I got four main categories, four main topics here. And I just want to see kind of where we're laying,
Yeah.
First up, Bigfoot. Preston, what do you think of Bigfoot, man? Where do you stand? Is it real? Is it not real? And, tell me your favorite Bigfoot story that we've probably covered so far.
And we've covered so much Bigfoot. I mean, he's our favorite. Hold on. My sister-in-law, so to speak, got me that for Christmas. It's a Bigfoot foot with a Bigfoot silhouette in it. So that's pretty fucking rad.
I like it.
Yeah.
I did not bring any visual aids, although I did recently get a Bigfoot toilet paper holder.
Yeah.
From Hobby Lobby. Fuck Hobby Lobby. I only went there to spend my money because I had a coupon and it was already on sale. Otherwise, they can get fucked.
So, out of all the cryptids, I'm not a huge fan of the Loch Ness Monster. I think that one's pretty fucking lame. The Bat Squatch I want to believe in because that's so fucking cool. The Jersey Devil is probably fucking, what do they call it? Like a moose bat or fucking mule bat, hammerhead.
Oh yeah, hammerhead bat.
Yeah, the fucking thing looks like a donkey like donkey and a bat had sex. Like it's really weird, right? So there's a couple of them like. I wish they were real. Probably not. Fuck the Loch Ness Monster. Some of the other ones could be easily explained. So Bigfoot is my favorite one, just because I think of how many different cultures and folklore encompass Bigfoot. Right. So you can be in Vietnam, and Dad had a really good, real life Bigfoot encounter story that always stuck with me as a kid, which I think led to me believing more heavily on Bigfoot. And then, you go to China, you go to Russia, like everywhere you go, there is some sort of Bigfoot in the folklore, right? And even here in the United States, indigenous people have always talked about like Bigfoot being like a separate culture, like a separate species. Like it wasn't like some mythical creatures, like they interacted with these things. And, I think back to reports in Russia during like World War II when, the Nazis were on patrol and they're looking for they're looking for Russian soldiers like out in the wilderness, and they stumble upon a cave and like this giant hairy dude out of the cave, and they fill it full of lead, and they're like, fuck, that wasn't a Russian. And they're like, why the fuck is it so hairy? Wiener
Must have been Siberian.
Wiener schnitzels. What do we do now? Right? And then they go to write the report, and the guy's like, they don't fucking talk about this, right? And then in Vietnam, they knew the existence of the quote unquote rock apes, but they're like, hey, don't fucking talk about this shit. Like you could blow smoke up my ass and say that it's a kernel, but don't tell me it's a goddamn monkey. So you look throughout history, so what I think Bigfoot is I don't think Bigfoot's a, gigantic Pipperthis, whatever that fucking monkey name is.
Gigantopithecus?
That thing, right?
Would you say hippofist?
Yeah, hippofist. We're not scientists, okay. Right? We can barely speak regular English, let alone scientific words. But the movie The 13th Warrior, have you ever seen that?
Oh God, yeah, a long time ago, buddy, back in like high school.
Yeah, so it's based off the novel written by Michael Crichton, which is based off an actual Icelandic rune found in I believe like the upper United States, where they had talked about this as being like a real thing, where these fucking Viking warriors take on this Islamic dude that had to get the fuck out of Dodge because he was banging princesses left and right. And they end up going back, to, Norway or wherever it was. And they get attacked by the Eaters of the Dead, which just so happened to live in a cave. So from a archaeological standpoint, it ended up being the last documented case of modern interaction with Neanderthals. And, if you're Anglo-Saxon, if you have like a large amount of British DNA flowing through your veins, you're part Neanderthal. When I got my DNA test done, it came back, I'm like 3% more Neanderthal than the average human being. Which, fuck, man, that probably explains a lot.
Explains the forehead, man.
Yeah. And so Neanderthals have been historically misunderstood. And we always think of them as, the ooga booga, brugga brugga caveman, not very smart. But as we discover more archaeologically throughout the years and in caves, we find that they had a very much a culture, a religion. They had a hierarchy to them, and they mostly dwelt in caves. And you look at the 13th Warrior, right? The rune that it was based on talked about like they had to go to these caves. You go back to the Russians or the German story about being in Russia and they fire on this hairy guy and it's coming out of a cave. And you look at Native American folklore and it deals with the people of the forest. And if you were to Google right now, like a map of the underground cave system across the United States, I mean, it fucking coast to coast, it is all over the place. And so, the big thing right now is, well, how because we never find a body? How because everybody like Bigfoot just disappears? And I mean, if you think about it, like these motherfuckers are like, they go through the cave system, they go through the underground tunnels, they come back up, and they're like, fuck, it's fucking Terry from, Westport. I'm going back in the cave, right? And so it's not, in my mind at least, it is not such a far stretch to imagine that you have a small isolated population of Neanderthals that, because we were encroaching on their territory, we were interbreeding with them, and, our DNA and their DNA, the offspring, are genetically a little bit more superior. So you look at modern humans, a large portion of modern humans, you either have like Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal or Cro-Magnon and Denisovan. So we're all kind of mutts, right? But we're the best of all of the ancient species. And so this, the idea that a small population of Bigfoots, of Neanderthals, have survived in underground cave systems. You look at missing 411 and people report of like the Bigfoot stole me, but they're like, hey, you gotta fuck Harry over here. And they're like, what? And it's because they need the DNA, right? And then, what was that guy's name in fucking California, up in the woods in the 70s, and he was taking the recorder out with him. We covered it on the show. And
with the samurai noises?
Yeah, right?
Ah, golly. Okay, keep going.
So this dude goes out into the woods, and he's like making knocks and stuff, and he's got his little fucking voice recorder out. And, you hear, and he's like, I don't know what this is, right? But it sounds like a language. So he takes it, to a college and says, hey, is there like a linguist here, like ancient language, like anything? And they're like, yeah, we got this guy in the back. He doesn't do a lot, but give it to him. And the guy listens to it and says like, hey, look, here's the thing. Like, nobody speaks Proto-Japanese. It's been a dead language for a really long time. But based off the way that it sounds and, the enunciation of syllables and things like that, like, this would probably be the closest thing to Proto-Japanese that I could come up with. And, like, they were really pissed. Like, I don't know exactly what they were saying, but more along the lines of, you don't get the fuck out of here, I'm going to rip your head off. And so, if Bigfoot was just a giant fucking monkey, well, why the fuck is it speaking Proto-Japanese? Why did every, culture, as far as folklore goes, talks about them as being, like the wild men of the forest and having a language and things. And so it makes more sense to me that, yes, it's, just a small population of Neanderthals that have survived, and they're fucking hiding in caves. And as far as my favorite Bigfoot story, dude, the fucking Bigfoot battle that we covered in Oklahoma, like Kansas territory back in the Civil War, where you had like the cavalry. And that fucking Bigfoot was like eating shit and ripping off heads. And like, dude, that's my Bigfoot right there.
Nice. I like it, man. Ron Moorhead. What's the name of that guy that caught those noises? You can Google. I mean, we did an episode, but I didn't have the number prepared. But look up the Sierra Sounds.
That's 100. Yeah. There we go.
Bigfoot Samurai Chatter. Either way, you'll find it. But yeah, really super interesting, man. I it's not a cop out, but like my favorite Bigfoot story is definitely Big John Wiener and the Man Who Blew Up Bigfoot. It's a classic. But also, like, I'm going to go in a different direction. I loved the story of Republican candidate Denver Riggleman. Do you remember this guy? You remember old Riggleman?
The Bigfoot erotic when he's talking about how to suck off a Bigfoot.
Yeah. So he was up for a political position, and his opposing Democratic nominee, Leslie Cockburn, had accused a Republican candidate. Man, if I could read, right? We're back in. I'm mispronouncing shit left and right. Republican Rep- Republican candidate Denver Riggleman, who was once labeled a Bigfoot erotica devotee by his Democratic opponent, actually ended up getting elected for Virginia's 5th District Representative in Congress. This is back in July of 2018. But yeah, dude, Leslie Cockburn, that joke's too easy. She put her opposition on blast, saying, "My opponent, Denver Riggleman, running mate of Corey Stewart, was caught on camera campaigning with white supremacists. Now he's been exposed as a devotee of Bigfoot erotica." And this guy had to go on Twitter and basically say, you know what, maybe I wrote some stories about Bigfoot erotica. It was just a little joke around my friends, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, apparently the guy wrote like a full book about like the mating habits of Bigfoot, and there's a gigantic censored out schlong on the cover. So yeah, that's my favorite Bigfoot tale outside of the man who blew up Bigfoot, Big John Wiener.
You know, and I think, is it Rick Dyer?
Rick Dyer, yep. Dude that kept faking the bodies.
Yeah, you know, I think that's, you know, people like that, part of that has given, you know, the Bigfoot subculture like a bad name, because dude goes out and like builds like these elaborate Bigfoot bodies, but puts like, you know, a fucking toddler wiener on it and be like, it's a real Bigfoot. And you're like, no, that doesn't match up, because, you know, Bigfoot's like, you know, 7-8 foot tall, and there ain't no way that he's got like a little fucking acorn tip hanging out like that. And, you know,
and I thought you said acorn tit. Yeah, everybody knows that guy's packing one of those things that you used to knock on tires as a truck driver, man.
Yeah.
You know, this guy's packing at least a full shillelagh.
So you didn't answer the question, like, what's your stance on Bigfoot, real or not?
Man, so I still believe in Bigfoot, man. I've got a Bigfoot tattoo on the back of my leg. I think that I kind of lean the other way. I like the idea of Neanderthals that have survived all these years, like, you know, the missing link. But I also like the idea of these things just being something metaphysical, you know, like you got the argument of how come you never find the bodies, you never find, you know, limbs outside of your dad who found like all sorts of blown up Bigfoot pieces. But like, you know, when you look out in nature, like you have natural predation and you find the carcasses of deers and bears and everything else. So, I mean, outside of Rick Dyer, you got to ask, like, where are the bodies, right? So I like to lean into the idea that these things are interdimensional, maybe. And I know that's tinfoil hat and that's woo-woo, but like, I like the idea of these things just running behind a tree and disappearing, right? Because if you want to go to like some of the oldest lore outside of like, you know, American Indians and Canadians, Bigfoot technically is a cursed angel that was cast out of heaven and cursed by God to
the whole because you know, Cain killed Abel and God gave him his mark, and so like that idea that Bigfoot's actually fucking Cain and it's just one Bigfoot that's just fucking pissed off that, like, you know, God wouldn't let him die for killing his jackass brother. And like,
yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah.
And we should clarify, Bigfoot is not out there just ramrodding Cain. You meant that Bigfoot is Cain.
Yeah.
That Cain is actually fucking Bigfoot. And again, likewise, he's not out there, you know, railing Bigfoot. But
right.
There's that side of things. And then, you know, there's also arguments that some of the angels cast down were also our earthly, you know, wood spirits. So like your fairies and your fae and your water creatures, your mermaids and all that. You know, it was believed that those were the angels cast out of heaven, that they said, hey, you can't stay in heaven. And we're not going to send you all the way down to hell with Lucifer. We're going to basically get you stuck in this limbo in the earth, which is, you know, the plane between the two, and you're just cursed to wander the earth forever. Yeah. So I like that idea. At the end of the day, I really just think it's just some big monkey in the forest. But like, I love this metaphysical idea that it's something more than just a flesh and blood monkey.
And I would add that the reports vary, right? They're like, oh, it's fucking 8 foot tall. Like, okay, listen, assholes. You're driving in the fucking middle of nowhere in the night, and you're not expecting to see maybe a fucking deer, right? I mean, how many times have you been driving on the highway and a fucking buck out of nowhere jumps in front of your car, and you're like, goddamn thing was like 2,000 pounds. Like, it appears way bigger than what it really is because it caught you by surprise, and you're like, "Fuck! I almost hit that thing and obliterated my car." I think Bigfoot's the same thing. Like when you see it,
Yeah.
it ain't no 7-8 footer, right? I mean, it could be, but I don't think it's as big as people think it is. I think it's because when you see it, it is, unexpected, and your brain is trying to wrap around like, oh, holy fuck. And so when you go back to recant the tale, you're like, the goddamn thing was like 8 feet tall, fucking red glowing eyes, man, and fucking had that red rocking dick out, and it was about to get me. I don't think it had his dick out.
Bangarang.
Yeah, Terry. I don't think it was wanting you that bad, but because in the moment it was so unexpected, and like the adrenaline's pumping through your system. You yourself are an unreliable narrator. Like, I mean, you saw it, but I think some of the details are a little sketch. Like, they're over-exaggerated because it was in the moment. So,
yep.
And
Man, what's
Jonathan
fun is...
says, so glad to see this again. Guess who's back? Buddy, thanks for joining us.
Buddy.
And Rob, fuck you with the whole caves, bro. We've seen them, went home unimpressed. All right? You went to the wrong caves, motherfucker. The wrong caves.
Oh, good stuff, man. What's up, Jonathan? Yeah, Jonathan's been listening and watching us for a long time now. So what's up, man, to you and your hubby? Hope you guys are doing well. Let's shift over to, sorry, Rob mentioned caves. Yeah, dude, Mammoth Cave is one of the biggest cave formations under the U.S. That thing goes on for like more than 400 miles. And when Steven and I and Corey went to visit Rob, we got to go down there and tour part of Mammoth Cave, and it's
just
huge,
part of
man.
it.
So
part of it, Rob. Did you
just
get
part of it, dude?
All 400 miles of it? No, you did not. I don't think so, bro.
No, I think we got like 4 miles.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so let's move on from Bigfoot to aliens, and let me go first, man. Still one of the creepy, tinfoil hat things that scares me the most is the idea of little bulbous, ovoid shaped eyeball fucking munchkins running around stealing people out of their homes. Still terrifies me to this day, man. Just the idea. Ever since watching Communion with Christopher Walken, that shit terrifies me. And my favorite story, I think Communion's really good because the movie's fucking awesome and scares the bejesus out of me, but my favorite story about aliens, dude, is probably that one with, what was her name? Linda Nataliano or whatever. The Manhattan Transfer. That story of that chick that was just floated out of her, like, whatever story window in the middle of downtown Manhattan in New York, just gets floated outside of her window and taken aboard a ship. And there was like some guy who witnessed it, who was some kind of like political something or other, who was up on the bridge, and apparently he saw it, but was too scared to talk about it because his position in the government, dude. I absolutely love that Manhattan Transfer story so much. What about you? Where do you stand on
oh my God.
little egg-shaped alien, egghead aliens?
Yeah, like, dude, this is going to end up being like a fucking 2-hour episode. So aliens 100%. And I think look, we're living in a time where soft disclosure has happened, whether or not some people want to admit it. Where over, we had congressional hearings, and we've had where people from the Pentagon have been interviewed, and things have been said. Some things had to be backtracked for some bullshit national security reason. Like, God, who's the fucking guy? I had his name on the tip of my tongue. So he was the one that they interviewed the last congressional hearing, right? And he had worked.
Oh yeah.
Grush. I can't remember his first name. But during the hearing, he might have let a little too much slip. Like, we have biological matter. We like have these things. And then he, did some other interviews, and he said, look.
David Gresh?
Yeah. He was like, look, I was told that I could talk about these things. However, I might have said a little bit too much because there are certain, reports, certain incidents that are still considered like national security that Russia and China, don't necessarily know about. So then I think about all the stories that we've covered over the years where like, fucking weird lights we're seeing in Russia, and then like the forest gets burned or a town gets blown up, and it's like, okay, so maybe that wasn't aliens, like that was us, and like the government's so like, I don't know, Putin's going to be pissed about that. Let's not talk about it, right? And so then he's like, but to give you an example, like one of the things that, I'm not going to get in trouble for talking about was in World War II, there was a downed craft found in Italy, and they took it to the Nazis. Well, England knows about it. We know about it. Russia knows about it. So like, yeah, 1944, 1943, whoops a daisies, like, here's a known crash, and, the Nazis had that technology. The Pentagon has, over the last couple of years, have come forward and said like, hey, like we have buildings in New York, like warehouse buildings that's has parts and shit in it. Like we found a Land Rover, right, with shit in it. So as far as like disclosure goes, like, yes, I think we're living in an era right now where we've gotten soft disclosure. And I think over the years, we're going to get a little bit more, tidbits here and there, which, I mean, with technology and the age that we're living in, right? I mean, we're talking about having to go back to the moon. We're talking about being able to go to Mars. You have all these independent contractors now, like SpaceX and fucking penis Amazon spaceships, right? Fucking Jeff Bezos.
Well, man, like you talk about David Grush doing his congressional hearings on one side of the spectrum, and then you've got Jaime Maussan, whatever the guy's name was, down in Mexico. Like, he's the journalist that came forward and said, "I found those Nazca mummies, right? Like the mummified alien mummies, right?" And he's just like, oh my god, I got them. And like, they had all sorts of hearings, dude, and we all thought we were like, again, right on the edge of that what's the word when we finally get to look at no, not precipice, disclosure.
Yeah.
We're on the edge of disclosure, and we're like, yeah, this guy's got these aliens, and he's saying that like there's eggs inside of one of them, and they've got fingerprints. And then, they go down and do the dating and the testing on it. And they're like, yeah, there's a pretty good chance these are just fucking paper mache. So you've got, David Grush over here, and you got Jaime Maussan over here, and everything in between, dude. So I don't know.
I think that, the congressional, or not congressional, but when the Pentagon, had their little fucking, New York Times interview, and they're like, look, 5% of all UFO sightings are unexplained. Like, they're the real deal, right? We don't know necessarily where they're coming from and who they are, but 5% of them, like, that's an actual, like, unidentified flying object, right? So, I mean, mathematically, like, 95% terrestrial, so it's either us, Russia, or China. But that, that 5%, like, where did we get the technology to backwards engineer, which obviously is happening if 95% of UFOs are man-made, right? And I think, I think the bigger issue is, getting the whole story is, people who have come out over the years who have been in secret space programs, right? The Apollo 20 was a big thing in the early 2000s, and that ended up being bullshit. Like, it was like a French filmmaker who was just trying to, put together stuff, but it was really convincing, right? But there were other...
Hold on, dude. Sorry, my TV's playing some atmospheric music in the background that's probably going to get us in trouble on Spotify. Just a second.
We don't want that. We don't want that.
Sorry, man. My TV does this thing where if the Xbox turns off from not being played, then it starts playing like some lo-fi beats. Yeah, sorry, you were saying.
Where was I? So the Apollo 20 thing ended up being bullshit, right? But there are other people that have come out over the years and saying like, hey, here are these secret space programs. Here are the things that here are the things that we found, and a lot of the stuff points to, I don't want to be that crazy George Napolopoulos guy, but
Do it.
aliens, right? Ancient aliens, and I think that because of how much history you would have to rewrite, and it opens up Pandora's box of, well, if we start finding things on Mars, like in the 70s we found the face on Mars, and people were like obsessed with it, like, what the fuck is this thing? And they were like, dude, it's just fucking lighting effect, it's nothing. But that rock would have had to have divots from, for that shadow to create that effect. So obviously that rock had a shape to it. And we get back up there in the 2000s, like 2006, and they, give you this fucking, what they call the cat box, right? And it's like, it just looks like a big giant turd, but then somebody analyzed the data from the NASA photo, and they're like, dude, this has been ran through Photoshop. Like, this has been altered. There's like so many filters applied to this that this is not the original image. And then, NASA had the bad thing about like, well, fuck, Mars is alien and people aren't going to believe us, so we need to make all the photos red. So NASA has been known to doctor their own photos to make Mars look more mysterious than what it really is. Like, when you look at the real photos now, like, everything's like gray blue skies and kind of dingy. Like, there's no more like fucking red skies, and like, we had this perception of what Mars looked like for years. But that ended up being, false. And then, in the, what was it, late 90s, you have Russia going up there. They find a monolith on one of the moons, and then, mid-national broadcast, the fucking satellite gets destroyed. Like, what the fuck's going on with that, right? So, if it comes to find out that, yes, there was this ancient civilization on Mars, like, that used to be home to an alien base, and then maybe they had to come here, like, that amount of history that you have to rewrite, that's going to blow fucking people's minds. And then the idea of, like, what does that do for religion? Because how much of the stories of, like, a chariot in the sky or this was an actual fucking alien and not an angel, or not this, like, then religion has a lot to answer for, right? And as a culture, I mean, why did the Vatican come out and said, well, if aliens exist, like, Jesus would want to save them? Like, aliens are a possibility. We just need to save them. Like, oh, like, whoa. The fuck's happening, like, with that? Like, you guys should just be like, it's all bullshit, right? And so, like, it's kind of like religion, like the Vatican knows, and so they kind of got to prep you, like, look, it's okay that aliens are real. It doesn't diminish us. We just got to, they just got to accept Christ, right? You accept Jesus, it's cool. Aliens?
Yeah, come on, guys.
Come on.
We've seen how that's worked out for everybody.
And as far as my favorite alien story goes, the episode 1, 2, and 3, Masters of the Universe, that we did, that the French author, whatever his name was, that traveled to Theubia, and you guys gave me a hard time about, I was like, the Mongoloids, and you're like, you can't say that word. I'm like, what? They're like Asians. You're like, that's not what that... Like, but in the book, that's what he was trying to describe, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm actually right for once in my life, you motherfuckers. But that whole story of, like, there are other civilizations out there, and they, came together to seed Earth. And there is, in fact, like, a gold space Jesus on this planet Theubia right now in hibernation, and like a gold space Buddha and Prince Adam and all these other entities. And, they're fucking, like, really hot hermaphrodites that this guy was, like, popping boners on. And then he's like, oh shit, that's a chick with a dick. Like, God damn it, I'm disappointed. Like, that whole thing was a fucking trip. And I want to be like Fox. I want to believe. So.
Yep. I forget the whole series title. It wasn't Masters of the Universe. But the third episode is the one that got us in trouble with Spotify recently because I had sampled the Mission Impossible theme.
And that's also like I think part 2 was like, dude looks like a lady, because that's when we hit them that they were space. Space.
Well, I mean, they're space aliens, dude.
Yeah.
Man, like they got both sets of Jennies and maybe something we've never seen before too. We don't know. Super tricky, but yeah, I think I love aliens, dude. And that's another one of those topics where like I'm not a very religious person, but like extraterrestrials and UFOs, UAPs are also described in the Bible as well. So I mean, there's something to it, right? Like if these things are being featured in a biblical text that goes way long back, right? Predates all of us, like that. There's got to be something more to it, right? And if you dig deep enough, there's even references to hairy hominids like Bigfoot and dinosaurs too. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. Interesting shit. Okay, buddy. So we both agree aliens are terrifying. Still here for it.
And unlike you, it wasn't the the movie with what's fucking it that scared me as a kid. It was
Communion.
Yeah, it was Fire in the Sky. That fucking scene when he wakes up and he's got to pull apart that plastic and he's floating and they grab him and they shove that needle through his fucking eyeball and they put that weird like condom skin on him. Freaked me the fuck out for days. I had nightmares. Fuck that shit movie.
Yeah, that shit was scary. Rob said, Preston, just because a man said it in a book from the 20s doesn't mean it's correct to say today.
Yeah.
Man, Preston's just trying to preserve the word mongoloid, which I think is still pretty offensive. All right, man. What about ghosts? Where are you at on ghosts, buddy? Real or not?
Yeah, I think I think ghosts are real. I've had a personal, again, this would be one of the only topics where I can say. I kind of relate to Dad, right? Because I think Bigfoot's stood out for him because of his experience that he had in Vietnam with the rock apes. I think for me personally, throughout the years, all the different experiences that I've had, they're personal experiences, so it makes it stand out, for me more. Mm-hmm. So I would say yes, 100%. I believe in ghosts, but I also like. I don't think it's clear cut. I don't think all hauntings are actual ghosts as much as they are like the stone tape theory, right? Where like scenes or moments in time get imprinted on the landscape, and if you're in the right moment, you get to relive a part of that history and you get to see that ethereal tape played back. A lot of examples of that are Gettysburg. You can go to Gettysburg and, at night, people say that like, hey, if you make like a trumpet noise or a battle horn noise, like you'll hear it back. And then, all of a sudden, you see soldiers on the battlefield. I think a lot of time slips that people experience, like those stories are always really fun, but they get diminished as like, dude, you're fucking insane or you're high. But I don't think that like you traveled back in time. I think those stories that are genuine, that really happened, that is like a stone tape theory. When the Jeffrey and I stayed at Myrtle's plantation, right? There was clearly an African American slave that walked past my door. Like I saw it clear as day, and it wasn't like see through. Like this was like a solid individual, but we were on this balcony area where that person could not easily go the other direction. They would have to jump off the balcony. And so was that a stone tape or was that a physical, like, ghost that I saw? And then, we go on the haunted ghost tour and like literally like the whole entire time, like I'm sweating fucking bullets. Like I'm coming off like a cocaine high. And like I'm fucking sweating, I'm hot. This tour guide lady is like, oh, this is the corner, this is where Abigail, she used to tell stories. And one time we had this African American lady. She used to dress up in period costumes, and she would retell a story, and then the whole audience turned white. And then she's like, what's going on? And turned around, and there was the actual ghost of Annabelle the Slave, and the lady never came back ever again. Now, they say that's her corner. And I'm like, this is the worst fucking ghoster. Like, they're all cheesy. I fucking hate ghosters. But I'm like, dude, at this point, I'm about to pass out. And I go and I stand in the corner, and I shit you not, that was the coldest fucking corner I've ever been in my whole entire life. Like, Arctic temperatures, negative, 1,000 degrees. Like, I should have had frostbite, but I didn't give a fuck because I'm about to pass out. I'm so fucking hot. And, you know, we go around, like, the lights are going in and out. They're getting brighter. Like, am I the only person fucking noticing this? Like, are they putting, like, hallucinogens, like gas? Are they gaslighting me? Are they drugging me? Like, what the fuck is going on in this situation? And, you know, all this weird shit. We get to the dining room, and there's all these old, like, you know, 100-year-old oil paintings, and the fucking last plantation owner lady started, like, turning into a zombie, started getting demonic, looked like Vigo the Carpathian from Ghostbusters 2. My wife is like fucking elbowing me. She's like, are you fucking seeing this? I'm like, I don't even know what's going on right now. Like, we're like, what are you talking about? She's like, the fucking painting. And I'm like, is it a skeleton? She's like, no, it's like, it's turning demonic. It looks like a witch. And I'm like, oh fuck, it's happening to you too? Like, dude, I can't explain that, right? We've stayed at so many haunted hotels, and some of them are just a letdown, but it's, you know, the history of it, like, it's beautiful architecture. Dude, that place has some bad fucking juju, so I'm excited to take the kids back to that. But I mean, again,
right? Let's go back.
Yeah,
let's go back and take our children.
But that's, you know, that's one of those ones where, like, again, that solidifies that there's something else going on, right? And then,
for sure, man.
You know, that when we went to that haunted museum, like, there was some weird shit that, like, I'm talking to this fucking dumb doll, and I'm like, fuck you, you piece of shit, you fucking pussy. And then, you know, my wife calls me upset. She's like, dude, I swear to God, like, there's this cup of milk in the thing. And she's like, I'm the only one by myself. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to tell you what I did last night, but, like, I don't think that my fucking 9 mil is going to help you in this, honey. Like,
I love when you're
going to need holy water.
Some husbands go out on a boys' night, and it's, you know, strippers and blow. And Preston and I go out on a boys' night with Rob Bones and Big Dobbs, and we just piss off possessed ghosts that break milk glasses in your fucking house. Speaking of gas, my dog is ripping some nasty farts. Let's take a little breaky break. I think she's gonna go poop. So let me take my puppy out to poop. And I didn't think I had to do this in the middle of recording a show, but you entertain the locals. I'll be right back.
Rob, are you still watching all of this? What are your thoughts on ghosts, Rob? What are your thoughts on UFOs? Come on, old man. Type fast. Don't leave me hanging here. And for anybody who listens to this as an actual podcast, just remember, you don't get these awkward moments of pauses and silence, because that all gets edited out. Part of making the sausage. Dun, 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 dun. Meh. Rob, I don't know what meh means. Like, so you're 50-50 on ghosts, 20-40 on ghosts, 90-10 on ghosts, like 90 bullshit, 10 could be real. Who else is, it doesn't tell me who else is watching. Who else is on this? It says we got 4 people. The 4 people that are watching, what is your take on ghosts? Real bullshit? God damn, Rob, that's like a fucking Dungeons and Dragon answer right there. Ghosts are just mostly physical manifestations of the veil of the living and the dead. I don't even know how to respond to that. All right, what about aliens, big dog? What do you think about aliens? You know what's funny is like when we get ready to record for D&D, I swear to fucking God, this happens all the time. He's like, sorry guys, I'm going to be like, 20 minutes late because Gertie has to take a shit. Or, I had to drink a beer with my dad, so I lost track of time. I still need to make you that book. I recently got into book binding and bookmaking, and yeah, that's on my plate to do for this year. Is I want to make you. I got some Dungeons and Dragons fabric that I can make book cloth out of. That's got D20 dice on it, and make your own little writing journal. I think it'd be good. As long as you don't write, stories about me. That is true. He has been on time lately, but we've also been playing this campaign for like 2 years. So I mean, if I do the math in my head real quick, that like 4 sessions out of what are we on 53? Like it's not high odds there of him being on time. It's like he's on time 5% of the time. Now, it would be really funny if he was listening to this banter while he was pooping the dog, and then he comes back and he's like, listen, motherfuckers. So for anybody not watching this live, if you get to this part and you're like, God dang it, drop a comment below and, tell us where you're at so far on Bigfoot, aliens, and ghosts. What are your thoughts? Yay, nay? We'd love to hear from the 352 subscribers. There's got to be some more opinions out there.
I'm so sorry, man.
Oh, no,
Since we're late getting started, I'm like, oh shit, my dog's got to go out to poop.
No, you're good.
Quality TV at its finest.
Quality. If everybody listens to the audio, they're never going to know. Now, so did we haven't touched on you yet. Rob, I asked Rob what he said, and he said, man, but then he's like, ghosts are just mostly physical manifestations of the veil, the living and dead. I'm like, God damn, that's the most D&D answer anybody could have gave us. Like, fuck, man. I don't even know where to go with that.
Yep. Yeah, man. I mean, I've had my own share of experiences. Like you're talking about the ghost, the Museum of Shadows was super interesting. But I'm here for it, man. I think Stone Tape definitely is one of those kind of things that explains it pretty well. Like maybe just the trauma and the energy of a murder or a specific event gets trapped, physically, like, and the energy just remains like an echo and just continues to kind of play over and over and over. And I think too, like, I don't know. We don't have enough time to get into like poltergeist and stuff like that, but I can tell you that.
I mean, come on. Look, we haven't been doing this for fucking.
That's true. I just stepped away for 5 minutes so my dog go outside and go potty. So
6
I don't know, dude.
months,
When we were
yeah,
right, I stepped away 6 months ago. So I think like when we were at that Museum of Shadows, yeah, there's ghosts and all that kind of stuff, but I think there's other stuff out there too, right? Like different categories, poltergeists and hauntings and all that. But like when we were in that little museum sit challenge, the whatever sit room challenge, like experiencing that, like hearing stuff move around on those tables and hearing, what sounded like somebody throwing like a pill bottle across the floor outside that room. And then just that immense feeling of like darkness, like rushing towards me. Was super, super bizarre to me. And then for being somebody who swears he will never, ever use a Ouija board, and like that being like my creed, leaving that place and coming back to Wichita and just having like just the insatiable like drive to find Ouija board, looking through Marketplace and trying to find them in antique shops for several weeks after was super bizarre to me, enough to think like there's got to be more to it than just, oh man, haunted dollies. And I kind of snapped out of that mindset quickly and thought like that's nothing to trifle with. So I mean, like, what happened? Was it just subconsciously being around it? I'm like, man, I really want one of these. Or did I have one of those little hitchhikers, one of those little things that kind of attaches to you and goes home with you? I don't know, but it definitely was terrifying. It's definitely something I still think about quite often, like what exactly happened. And 100% ghosts, man. And my favorite ghost story that we have shared would have to be, God, it's been almost 7 years ago, dude. Late Nights Volume 1, The Gooey Bits. That's when we shared titillating stories from Colin Waters' book, Sexual Hauntings Through the Ages. Those are my favorite ghost stories. The pervy ghosts.
Yeah.
Like the pervy old man spirit that lived out in the garden courtyard that just kept whacking it whenever someone looked out the window at it. Ghosts that like to pinch ladies on the fannies and stuff like that. Like that just cracks me up that even after death.
Well, you got your ectoplasm on me. Come on now.
Right. And there's still a story from San Francisco I have to track down, and I've been trying, but I just for the life of me can't figure it out. But we were told a story when I went to San Francisco, and Shayla and I and Aaron and Patty toured like the San Francisco downtown haunted ghost tour. And there was sorry, my dog likes to bark at airplanes that fly over. I went from living by a highway to living under a flyover. Gertie girl, come on now. There was a story about a set of apartments that were haunted by this ghost, and it was known for appearing in the middle of the night and vomiting up kittens. And it's not something like cute and cuddly, like it pukes it up and it's a cute little cuddly kitten. Like one guy said he woke up to the feeling of a presence in the room. He'd hear something kind of like making noise. And then when his eyes kind of, finally adjusted to the darkness, the spirit showed up and puked like 7 kitten carcasses that were covered in like mucus on his bed. And so I'm trying to figure out where that story is, if I have it recorded somewhere, because I recorded part of that tour. But yeah, I want to get to the ghost puking up cats. Yeah,
I would say my favorite ghost story so far would be the one that when I first met you, we started talking about getting into the paranormal and things, and that fucking dumb show on Sci-Fi.
A Haunting.
Was it? Was that what it was called? I
think it was A Haunting.
And
because I'm pretty sure we talked about some of those stories on that same Late Nights episode.
Yeah.
Or Netflix's Haunted, one or the other.
No, it was Sci-Fi.
Okay.
Because this would have been 2010-ish. About. I remember, not mentally not being in a good spot, and staying up late and like, well, what the fuck's on TV, and so I come across this paranormal show, and so lady in New Mexico, she'd got divorced and she moves into this home, and she started seeing like shadow figures move across the house, and one of them ended up sitting on her chest and kind of choking her. And she reported seeing or hearing like somebody was like dumping down rocks down the ceiling, and ghost hunters and whatever the other fucking dildo baggins show at the time.
Yeah, Ghost Adventures.
It always came across as like cheesy, right? Like they weren't really like, oh my god, you hear that? Oh yeah, and they like shine the light. And I'm like, this is fucking bullshit, right? Even the one show that had like the police detective and the psychic lady, like 90% of that show was just like her weird facial expressions, right? Like, like I don't know, you're not really showing me any evidence, but I felt like that was like the first time where they covered a story that took place in like the mid 80s, and so like they had like the original Polaroid films of seeing like orbs floating across the room. They had the photo of the camera guy like in the attic that somehow got hanged with his own camera cord.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It was the the very last reenactment scene where they get done telling the tale, and they start to zoom in on the attic door. It's like just this hole in the wall, and this little hand jets down and kind of like waves at them, and then pulls back up and shuts the attic lid close. And I remember that reminded me of that, when I was a teenager, dad or mom was cooking like enchiladas or something, and put too much grease down the sink, and it exploded like one of the pipes in the basement bedroom. And dad was like, oh fuck, I ain't fucking fixing it. And so there was like this fucking hole in my ceiling, and I wake up one night, sleep paralysis, and there was this fucking giant shadow hand like coming out of the hole, and it like, I couldn't move. I was paralyzed. I'm like, oh, fuck. And like in the middle of me and my head screaming, fuck, it was just like, oh shit, he sees me. And so it starts to kind of pull back and kind of suck itself back into this hole. And then all of a sudden the hand drops back down, and it just like eerily waves at me before it just disappears. And I think that the end of that episode, like, sparked something in me. And then that episode had really good evidence with it, where it was one of those things like, shit, maybe I'm not crazy, because like a lot of what this lady, the feeling the pressure on the chest, not being able to move. And then watching more episodes, I'm like, well, look, if these motherfuckers can go to a fucking cemetery and get an EVP, like my dumb ass can do it. Like, this ain't fucking rocket science. And that got me into actually going and doing and like best investigations and stuff. And then through talking with you, I think that kind of brought us together a little bit, and we bonded over it. And then now fucking 15 years later, we've been doing this fucking shit for God knows how long.
Yeah, exactly, man.
And I think the most disappointed ghost story was, I remember when that fucking Netflix show came out, and they talked about the kid whose grandfather died, and he inherited the house, and there was like all these...
Oh, was that show called Haunting?
Yeah, and there was all these like dead body parts in the basement, and there was like, he ended up killing like 50 people, and they're like, yeah, no, like 90% of the show is bullshit. We only have like really like one or two real ghost stories, but we just needed to like have fillers, so we just made a bunch of shit up. And I'm like, you motherfuckers. I wanted that because it came across so real, and then I'm like, what? Like this? Yep. Which other ones are bullshit now? Like, fuck, I can't even tell. Is my life a lie? I don't even know. Fuck you, Netflix, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I remember that came out, and everybody was like, "Oh my god!" Like, did we just find out about a serial killer? And like, Netflix is the one that just like just completely unearthed this thing. And then they had to come out later and just say, yeah, actually, we made the whole shit up. It's just like that episode of the other haunting show you're talking about, where like one of the first episodes shows the old like electrician being strangled by the wire on that Polaroid. And you're like, Jesus, what a fucking first episode this is. And then everything else is kind of, downhill from there. I think that's what they tried to do with that haunting show. And they just,
yeah, they hit.
I don't know. They really kind of
quick.
screwed the pooch on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That reminds me too, like back when Blair Witch came out, that first Blair Witch film, they were talking about how like basically found footage film made by indie, film producer, and they try to sell it to somebody. And so they just run with the idea that, hey, we're going to market this thing as like a real found footage. And stupid little me was just like, oh my God, it has to be real. Like if they're coming out publicly at press conferences saying this is a real film, it can't be fake. It has to be real. And then you find out, not too long after it started airing in streaming in or playing in theaters, they're like, no, that's just part of the actual viral marketing we did just to get people into the theater to watch it. And then that movie with Angelina, God, what's her name? The movie was called Fourth Kind, and it was about the alien abductions over in Nome, Alaska. And it was the chick who played in Resident Evil. What was her name?
Malia Jovovich?
No. Yeah, Malia. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
We're close. Yeah, she comes out and she's like, this is real. Everything about this film is absolute truth. We've actually got like legitimate video of people doing these different hypnotic regressions. And then I'm like, well, fuck, dude, if like Mila Jovovich is out here and she's the one producing this and she's the one like promoting it, like it's gotta be real. And then no, it's bullshit too. Like line and sinker, man.
She married the guy. She married Paul Anderson for a little bit. So I mean,
oh yeah, for real.
Discredit that.
That's true.
Through our ramblings, this brings up that you brought up Blair Witch. So the was it the Stephen experiment? The Philip experiment. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy's got a fucking vodka cocktail over here that's starting to hit a
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
Daddy's got his medicine.
Yeah. So, because this originally we were toying around with the idea of tulpas and toe shoes, right? And Rob said no. So, the Blair Witch, when it originally came out, like everybody thought that was real. So how much, let me pose this question of the idea that is the Blair Witch an actual possibility now with as many people that put thought and energy into it when it first came out, as believing in it. And if the Blair Witch is real, how many fucking kids are fucking scared of Pennywise the Clown that we haven't as a society accidentally created a Pennywise tulpa that's out there right now?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Like even Santa Claus, right? Like that was something we talked about years ago on one of those Christmas episodes, was the idea that if everybody thinks...
You fat jolly fucker, if you're out there in the ethereal plane listening to this, I've been a good boy this year, and I expect not coal in my stocking this year. Or I'm going to stop believing.
There you go. Rob just commented on the new book by Joe Hill called King Sorrow. They actually mentioned the Philip experiment in King Sorrow as well. Yeah. Without any spoilers there. It's a hell of a good book. Everyone should go read that book too. The idea that if everybody believes in one thing and produces that much energy to believe in that one thing, that one entity, it could physically manifest. Santa Claus could be a tulpa. Blair Witch could be a tulpa, Pennywise, all that kind of stuff, dude. Super, super interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that dovetails really nicely with our last question here, man. Originally, I said Mothman. What's your stance on Mothman, and what's your favorite story? And you're like, yeah, there's not too many stories about Mothman, man. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's true. So I changed it. What's your favorite cryptid encounter story? Not necessarily like one of our cryptid encounters, but like just an encounter with a bizarre entity that we've covered on the show. I can go first. You can go first.
Yeah, ladies first. I'll let you go.
Sweet. There's tons, right? Like we've covered some really good shit. Those have been some of my absolute favorite episodes to do. But Sam the Sandown Clown from 1973, from the Isle of Wight in the UK. Probably one of just the weirdest one-off, one-shot, encounters to kids. They go out one day and they happen upon this really bizarre entity, 7 foot tall, and he's got like black eyes in the shape of triangles, right? And like a weird shaped mouth and a weird shaped nose. And he's got like a speak and spell, like a little computer and a microphone. And he walks over to him and he has to talk through it. And it makes all these weird, like bizarre noises until he finally dials it in and actually can communicate via English. And then these kids do like every kid does. And they go back with Sam to his little barn spaceship, and they start talking, and the kids start noticing how much weirder he really looks when they get a chance to actually really focus in. And he's got like yellow lips and like blue triangle eyes and this weird nose. I think at one time he takes the nose out or off and sticks it in his eye socket.
Yeah, and there was like this weird thing with lights. They talked about like there was like this rainbow prism effect where there was like dancing lights all around them. And he was just like, oh, I'm red, I'm blue, I'm green, I'm all the colors that you can see.
Yep, you're exactly right. He called himself All Color Sam, and the kids didn't quite understand, exactly what that meant. And yeah, they said his arms were really shaped weird, like wood, and he only ate berries, but he'd stick it like in his ear, and they'd see it like roll around his mouth and like pop out his eyeball. It almost sounds like a claymation skit, just super fucking bizarre. But yeah, if anybody hasn't checked that out, check out Sam the Sandown Clown. That was an episode that we covered, but I cannot remember what episode it was. But yeah, one of my favorite bizarre, just one-shot encounters.
I think my favorite would be, and it's been so long since I've thought about it, and we may have talked about it. I think we did when we did the time slip episode. I think it was covered in the book Wastelands, that had like bizarre encounters that kind of like time slips and other weird explained things that happen across the United States. And I don't know the guy's name, so we're just gonna kind of roll with generic
Terry.
He's like going on this camping trip, and he was supposed to go pick up his buddy, and so he's up. I really want to go. This story takes place in the Appalachian Mountains, and the wife and I have talked about stupidly taking a trip. The Catskills and up in that area where, people talk about mimics and other things. But so this guy was getting ready to go pick up his friend, and he gets lost, and he stops at like this fucking dollar store master bait, shop. And, fucking Cletus is like, hey, what you doing to these woods, boy? And he's like, oh, fuck, I'm lost. And Cletus is like, all right, where are you trying to go? And so he gets like a, crown map of, go down this road and turn here. And so he's like, oh, fuck, all right. I mean, I just need to get the fuck out of this place. This is like the hills have eyes. And so, the sun starts going down. He's like super late, super behind. And this green fog rolls in, which, story was added to this book because a lot of time with time slips, they talk about this like weird green fog. And so he's like, I don't know, whatever. Like, I'm just looking at the map. Like, I stay straight on this road. Like, let's hope Cletus is right. And he finally breaks through the fog, but like the road had ended. And now he's like in this like inlet where, you have like this kind of small clearing, and there's a bunch of like, pine, cedar trees, pine trees behind him, like really tall. And there's like this 1950s silver bullet. So like, the old mobile homes that like people had. And he's like, God, that's the fuck is this doing out here? And he's like, I don't know, the light's on, so I got to figure out where the fuck I am, how to get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't know, like, hopefully I don't die, but I'm just going to go knock on the door, about to piss my pants. So he goes and knocks on the door, and like for a second, like nothing's happening. And then he hears like, you know, some commotion going on. And he sees this shadow move from the back of the silver bolt to the door. And he's like, this fucking like outline, the shadow of this person is like fucking like Arnold Schwarzenegger times 10. Like, come on, like steroids, do it. And he's like, fuck. And the door opens. And, you know, he's like looking, and you know the first thing he sees are like these tattered jeans, these boots, and he's like eyes, like, you know, hey, my eyes are up here. So he starts moving up, and as he gets to like, you know, the fucking wife beater shirt, and like this thing is covered in fur, and he gets to the top, and he's like, it's the biggest goddamn werewolf I've ever seen in my whole entire life. And he said that this creature had like a fucking can of Bud Light in one hand and a fucking cigarette in the other, and this werewolf takes a puff of the cigarette, and he's like, what the fuck are you fucking doing here, you fucking piece of shit? And he's like, I'm lost. He's like, you better get the fuck out of here right now. This is goddamn private property. I'm about 2 seconds away from slashing your goddamn throat. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He's like, goddamn right you are. And he's like, and then the werewolf shut the door in my face. Like, goddamn asshole. Like, all I'm trying to do is like fucking ask for directions. Like, so sorry. Like, I mean, maybe I should have asked for some fucking sugar. Like, this is not very neighborly, Terry. So he gets back in the car, and he's like, fuck it. Like, you know, the green fog got me here. Maybe the green fog will get me back. And he's like, I probably drove what seemed like forever through this goddamn green fog. And then he's like, I punched through it, and then boom, like I'm on the side of this mountain road right where I should have been. And he's like, I don't know how to explain that. He's like, I don't even know. So it's like, dude, that story is like time slip, Lugaroo encounter, hillbilly.
Man,
like it's everything.
I don't remember that one at all.
Everything all added in one.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Yeah, I can see why that's a favorite, man. I don't remember that one at all. I have to go through the annals and see if I can figure out what that was, dude.
I think I might have covered it on Dogmen, Frogmen, and It's Raining Men. Good man.
Oh, you're right. You may have
the Mans.
The Mans. Yeah. Dogmen, Frogmen. And that one might be lost because that might have been an episode that we sampled Raining Men, and fucking Spotify didn't like that either, I guess. Oh well, what can you do?
What can you do?
Well, buddy, we're back in the saddle again. It looks like sans my break to take my dog out. We well over an hour already, pal. So
I know it felt good. It felt right.
Felt good. Damn, it felt good to be a gangster.
It was embarrassing that we couldn't get the fucking audio figured out in the first like 5 fucking minutes. Like,
did you say 5? I think it was like 20. It took us a minute.
Like Jesus, like fucking amateurs over here.
Yeah, dude. Oh well, man. They think that's amateur hour.
You know, I'm excited to get back into it. You know, I've acquired quite a library over the last year. You know, now that you know, we were kind of talking about it the other night on you know, D&D. I won't get into, you know, too much details, but, you know, I'd mentioned about, you know, spending time away from your spouse and the time that you get together, like, you know, absence makes the hearts grow fonder, or whatever the fuck that saying is. And so now, you know, with my schedule, my wife's schedule, when we plan vacations, like we try to do something, you know, fun, something spooky, where we can get away and just spend time with each other. And every time that we go, I'm like, dude, I pick up a fucking book. Like when we, on our anniversary trip, I got this book about like cryptids in fucking Ohio and like ghost stories out the wazoo. And, so dude, we have materials for days. And,
yeah, that's true.
You know, I want to revisit some topics. You know, the moon conspiracy.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, look, we fucking beat that dead horse like, you're a fucking idiot if you didn't think we landed on the moon. But I think there's some good tidbits out there about the hollow moon and like NASA smashing shit into it and that fucking thing ringing like a bell. And there's a lot of other things with the moon that can be very fascinating that I think we, need to go back and deep dive into that topic a little better. So,
yeah, I wouldn't mind doing a couple of Redux episodes where we kind of go back, especially to some of those early topics, man. But yeah, I think we can do that.
All right, because if you're a flat earther, go get fucked. Okay. Now, if you're an inner earther, holler at your boy, because I got some inner earth ideas floating around in this head. But flat earthers, like, go get on a fucking rocket and just take care of yourself. Okay.
Good God, man.
Goddamn
Jesus.
Goddamn Terry's.
It's the first time back in 6 months, and I should have put a fucking what do you call those messages at the beginning?
Yeah. Too bad.
Disclaimer, man.
Too bad on our website that we don't have an @Preston, so you can send a fucking complaint email. Well, but how about you make a comment on Spotify, like leave a review of this asshole, so I can,
your personal,
so I can bitch about it for 6 months. God damn it.
You're still sad about that, man.
I turned that show on, and 10 seconds later, I'm like, that's enough of that douchebag. Motherfucker, you didn't even
guys like that give podcasting a bad name.
Yeah, you didn't even give me, like, at least another minute to establish that, like, I'm a raging, vaping douchebag. Like, you just went off at 2 seconds. Like, buddy, there's a lot more to unpack than what I thought I have to say. Like, yeah.
It's all he needed, man. It's all he needed to know, his stance. You are his flat earth. Get fucked.
Yep.
Well, everybody, sorry about the long break. We're happy to be back. Got a lot of fun stuff planned. Wednesday nights, looks like that'll be the time we're going to be doing live streams, 9:30 p.m. Central Standard. And then episodes, I imagine, will probably go up audio-wise. I think Fridays is going to be the goal.
Because we haven't done this in a while, look, I've done some revamping of the old YouTube page. So there's a community forum on the YouTube page. So all 352 of you fuckers that have subscribed, if you're listening, look, you can go there. I think I posted one post already, like, tell me your favorite cryptid. I don't know. It was like 3 months ago, and nobody's done anything with it, so I don't know what I wrote. But my point is, if there's a topic that you would like us to deep dive, if there's something that you want us to, like, pick our brains on, it's a perfect avenue to utilize and to get to us. You can, on the social media, right? If you're watching this live stream on Facebook, right, you can DM Shawn, not me, because I don't want to hear your complaints, but you can DM Shawn and let us know what topics you would like us to cover and deep dive a little bit more. So there are ways to get to us. And so sometimes I think, like, hear the shit that we're interested in, but, what's the shit that you're interested in? Maybe we could, now that we're back and a little newer and a little bluer, that we can, do some stuff that you guys want. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there. I'm spitballing.
I like it. I appreciate it. Hell yeah, man. Good to be back. If you're on the socials, give us a follow on Instagram. We are PXL Paranormal. If you are on Facebook, we are the Pixelated Paranormal Podcast. And we would love for you to give us a follow, give us a like, all that good stuff. I think that's the only socials we have going for us right now. But yeah, I should have made a post a long time ago. We hit 1,100 followers on our Instagram page many, many moons ago. But man, you know what? Things were getting lazy there for a while. So we're back. Anywho, if you're in Wichita, check out our dear friend Leslie and the rest of the gang over at CD Trade Post, Pawnee, and Seneca, and then our buddies down there at paranormal.cafe. Really great paranormal themed coffee shop. So pop in there and tell them Pixelated Paranormal sent you. Won't get you anything, but
need a beard. Want a beard? Are you tired of being a grizzly, scruzzly, fucking nasty-looking werewolf? Then do yourself a favor. Go over to BigDopsBeardBomb.com. Use promo code PXLPARA for 20% off your order. Pick yourself up some scents like bay rum, fresh, citrus, mint, classic, sweet tobacco. Spartan, I think, was the one he released recently. He's got a new barrel age that's phenomenal. If you live in the Omaha area and you're looking to get your dids done up, go get a haircut by Dobbs. Like, he just doesn't do beards anymore. He does the hair too. And let me tell you, I'd be excited to go get those hands through my lion's mane. So get it all. Get it at Dobbs.
Not what I thought you were going to say when he said get your duds. It's like, where's he going with this? Oh, Jesus. Where's this clip? Oh, man. I'm not drinking anything because it's been so long since we did this, but I'm gonna say cheers to the weird shit in the world and those of us that love to talk about it.
And stay spooky and stay on the paranormal highway.
William, are you still, or Will or William, are you still with us? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Will, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to knock on this closet door. Can you knock back for me? Got the heebie-jeebies.